The mining ship Horizon drifted slowly into orbit around planet HD 729C. Commander Eric Walsh watched from the bridge as the strange world came into view. It was a beautiful, yet terrifying sight. Swirling storms of green and purple gases covered the surface while lightning flashed across the atmosphere. "Sensors confirm what we expected," said Nathan Jones, the communications specialist. His fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "Gravity is 3 times Earth normal. Atmosphere contains high levels of chlorine and sulfur. Temperature variations of over 100 degrees between day and night sides." Eric nodded. This was exactly what Earth Mining Corporation was looking for, a challenging but resource-rich world. Initial scans showed large deposits of rare minerals that were becoming scarce back home. "Any sign of that electromagnetic activity the probes detected?" Eric asked. Nathan checked his readings. "Yes, sir. Unpredictable bursts every few hours. Our shields should hold, but it'll make surface operations tricky." Olivia Martinez, the ship's security chief, stood with her arms crossed, studying the planet with narrowed eyes. "I don't like it. This place is hostile even by our standards." Dr. William Carter, the mission's xenobiologist, couldn't contain his excitement. "That's what makes it fascinating. The extremes of this world would make most Earth environments seem like a vacation resort." Eric turned to his crew. "Let's prep the landing shuttles. Standard procedure for extreme conditions. Full environment suits, backup life support, and 2-hour maximum surface time for the first expedition." As the team prepared for descent, the ship's sensors detected something unexpected. "Commander," Nathan called out, his voice tense. "We've got company. A vessel just dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system. It's not one of ours." The bridge fell silent. Humanity had been exploring space for decades but had never encountered another intelligent species. "Are you certain?" Eric asked, moving quickly to the scanner station. "Positive, sir. The design is like nothing in our database, and it's using a propulsion system I can't even begin to identify." Eric made a quick decision. "Open a channel, all frequencies, and alert Earth Command immediately." For 20 tense minutes, they sent greeting messages while the alien ship maintained its distance. Then, finally, their screens flickered with an incoming transmission. The image that appeared showed a tall, slender being with grayish-blue skin and 4 arms. Its face had 3 large eyes arranged in a triangle pattern, and what seemed to be breathing slits instead of a nose. "Greetings, unknown vessel," the translation software rendered from the alien's musical tones. "I am First Navigator Zexral of the Zarlax Confederation starship Eternal Harmony. We detected your mining signatures and came to investigate." Eric introduced himself and his crew, explaining their mission. The conversation was cautious but cordial. The Zarlax explained they were an ancient spacefaring civilization with territories spanning hundreds of systems. They seemed surprised that humans had achieved space travel given Earth's extreme conditions. After several hours of communication, both sides agreed to a face-to-face meeting. The Zarlax requested permission to send a small delegation to the Horizon. "We should also discuss proper planetary protocols," Zexral said. "Our scans indicate HD 729C has resource potential, but requires special handling due to its unstable nature." Eric agreed, and preparations were made for the historic first contact meeting. However, the Zarlax also expressed interest in observing the human mining techniques on the planet's surface. "We will send a scientific team to accompany your landing party," Zexral announced. "We are curious about your extraction methods on such worlds." Eric exchanged glances with Olivia, who subtly shook her head in warning. But refusing could damage these new diplomatic relations. "Very well," Eric said. "But I must stress that this environment is hazardous. Your team will need appropriate protective gear." "Of course," Zexral replied with what might have been a smile. "We have encountered many challenging worlds in our explorations." The next day, both teams prepared for planetary descent. Eric, Olivia, William, and 2 mining specialists represented the human team. They wore their standard extreme environment suits, bulky exoskeletons with triple-layered protection against radiation, pressure, and chemical exposure. The Zarlax delegation appeared in what looked like lightweight environmental suits, made of a shimmering material that seemed almost delicate compared to the humans' heavy gear. "Are you sure those will be adequate?" William asked the Zarlak science officer Trelvon. These are our most advanced protective systems, Trelvon replied with confidence. They have served us on hundreds of hostile worlds. The joint expedition boarded the human shuttle and descended through HD 729C's turbulent atmosphere. The landing was rough, with the shuttle bucking against powerful wind currents, but they touched down safely on a rocky plateau. Conditions outside match our predictions, Nathan reported from the horizon. Gravity 3.2 times Earth normal. Atmospheric pressure 4.7 times Earth standard. Current temperature at landing site is 38 degrees Celsius with toxic gas concentrations well above lethal levels. Acknowledged, Eric replied. We're opening the airlock now. Stay alert, everyone. The humans activated their suit systems and checked each other's seals. The Zarlaks did the same, their movements graceful despite the unfamiliar surroundings. The outer door opened, and a blast of greenish air swirled into the chamber. The humans felt the crushing weight of the high gravity even through their powered exoskeletons. It was uncomfortable but manageable, exactly what they had trained for. The Zarlaks stepped out first, and then everything went terribly wrong. The alien delegates took 3 steps onto the planet's surface before collapsing simultaneously, their bodies convulsed violently, the shimmering protective suits seeming to ripple and then tear in multiple places. Get them back inside, Eric shouted. William and Olivia rushed forward, struggling against the heavy gravity to reach the fallen aliens. They dragged the convulsing bodies back toward the shuttle, but it was already too late. By the time they reached the airlock, all 3 Zarlaks were dead. What just happened? Olivia demanded, her voice shaking. William ran a scanner over the alien bodies. Multiple system failures. It's like their cellular structures couldn't handle the gravity and pressure, even with their suits. And these suits, they're ruptured, in dozens of places. From orbit, the Zarlak ship erupted in frantic communications. What have you done? Zexral's voice boomed through their comms, all previous diplomacy gone. You've murdered our people. It was an accident, Eric tried to explain. We had no idea the conditions would affect your people this way. We survive on this kind of planet regularly. There was a long silence from the Zarlak ship. That's impossible. Zexral finally responded, their voice now filled with something new. Fear. No sentient species could evolve to withstand such conditions. You've hidden your true nature from us. Over the next several hours, Eric somehow managed to prevent an interspecies incident from becoming a war. The bodies of the Zarlak scientists were returned with full honors, and both ships maintained a respectful distance. Before the Eternal Harmony departed, Zexral sent one final message. We have never encountered beings who could survive environments that kill our strongest warriors in seconds. The Confederation will need to reconsider many things about humans. We will meet again, Commander Walsh, and next time, we will be better prepared. As the alien ship disappeared into FTL, Eric looked at his shaken crew. Send a priority message to Earth Command, he ordered. Tell them everything. I think the galaxy just got a lot more complicated. 6 months after the HD 729C incident, Dr. William Carter stood nervously in the departure lounge of the orbital diplomatic station. He adjusted his formal uniform and checked his tablet one more time. The invitation to attend a scientific conference on the Zarlak's homeworld had surprised everyone at Earth Command. After the disaster that claimed 3 alien lives, most expected diplomatic relations to be frozen for years. Nervous? Asked a woman's voice behind him. William turned to see Dr. Alicia Freeman, one of Earth's leading exoplanetary specialists. Her research on habitable worlds had gained new importance since first contact. Wouldn't you be? William replied. I'm about to visit an alien world where they probably still blame us for killing their people. Alicia smiled. That's why they requested you specifically. You were there. You tried to save them. And you're a scientist, not a military officer. The journey to the Zarlak's homeworld took 3 weeks aboard a joint species vessel. William spent most of his time studying the limited information they had about alien physiology and environments. The Zarlaks had shared basic data about their world as a gesture of goodwill. Look at these atmospheric readings, William said to Alicia as they reviewed the files together. Oxygen levels are only 15% of Earth normal. Gravity is barely 0.7 of what we're used to. And they consider this ideal living conditions? Alicia nodded. It fits with what happened on HD 729C. Their bodies evolved in gentler conditions than ours. What we consider normal would be extreme for them. When they finally arrived, the human delegation was met with elaborate greeting ceremonies. The Zarlak's homeworld, Salthoria, was beautiful, but strange to human eyes. The sky was a pale yellow, and the plants grew in spiraling patterns that seemed to defy gravity. Everything appeared delicate and lightweight. The conference center was filled with representatives from 12 different species. William felt like a giant among them. Most aliens were shorter and more slender than humans, with bodies that seemed almost fragile. An older Zarlax approached them. His skin had faded to a pale blue, and he moved with deliberate care. Dr. Carter, Dr. Freeman, I am Zelthor, lead scientist of comparative biology. Welcome to our world. His translator device conveyed his musical speech into flat English. I hope you find our gravity comfortable. We've increased it in the human quarters to 0.8 of your Earth normal. That's very thoughtful, William said. We can adapt to your natural conditions, but the consideration is appreciated. Zelthor's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. That is precisely what fascinates us about your species. This adaptability is unprecedented. Over the next week, William and Alicia attended presentations by various alien scientists. They learned about the evolutionary paths of different intelligent species across the galaxy. A pattern quickly emerged that shocked them. During a private dinner with Zelthor and scientists from 3 other worlds, William finally asked the question that had been bothering him. So if I understand correctly, every spacefaring species evolved on worlds with lower gravity, milder temperature variations, and less radiation than Earth? The green-skinned representative from the Krell Dominion nodded her bulbous head. What you call Earth normal would qualify as an extreme environment by galactic standards. Most intelligent life evolves in much more stable and gentle conditions. But surely other species must have evolved on planets like ours, Alicia argued. Zelthor made a gesture that the translator indicated was equivalent to a sad smile. That is what makes your discovery so significant. We have records of 218 species that achieved space travel. None evolved on worlds with conditions even approaching Earth's harshness. What about non-spacefaring species? William asked. We've cataloged thousands, replied a crystalline being from the Silicon Collective. Some exist in environments more extreme than Earth, but they remain primitive. The theory was that harsh conditions prevent the development of advanced technology. Until humans proved otherwise, Zelthor added. The implications hit William like a physical blow. So when our people walked on HD 729C, you survived conditions that would kill most species instantly, Zelthor confirmed. Even with our most advanced protective technology, we cannot endure what you consider merely challenging. The dinner ended with an uncomfortable silence. That night, William couldn't sleep. He paced in his quarters, thinking about what this meant for humanity's place in the galaxy. The next morning, Alicia burst into his room, her face pale. You need to see this, she said, handing him her tablet. I've been analyzing the data they shared on all known inhabited worlds. The screen showed a comparative chart of planetary characteristics. Earth was an extreme outlier in almost every category. Higher gravity, greater atmospheric pressure, more radiation, wider temperature swings, higher oxygen content. We're from a death world, William. By their standards, humans evolved in hell. The final day of the conference featured a presentation by William and Alicia, sharing information about Earth and human physiology. The auditorium was packed with aliens from all represented species. William noticed additional security personnel stationed around the room. As they described Earth's conditions, the crushing gravity by alien standards, the dense and oxygen-rich atmosphere, the intense solar radiation, a wave of murmurs spread through the audience. When they showed videos of humans performing in extreme Earth environments, mountain climbing, deep-sea diving, desert exploration, Many aliens visibly recoiled. To be clear, one Krell scientist asked, your recreational activities often involve conditions that would be lethal to most of us? William nodded. Humans seek out challenges. We climb mountains because they're there. We explore deep oceans and burning deserts just to see what we might find. The return journey to Earth was quiet. Both William and Alicia understood that they carried information that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. When they landed, a military escort was waiting. They were taken directly to a secure facility where Admiral Frank Nelson was waiting with a team of high-ranking officials. We've received some concerning communications from the Galactic Council, the Admiral said without preamble. I need to know exactly what happened at that conference. William took a deep breath. Sir, we discovered something important about humans. Something that changes everything about our position in galactic politics. Which is? The Admiral prompted. We're the tough guys, Alicia said simply. What we consider normal, they consider extreme. What we consider challenging, they consider instantly lethal. William nodded. Admiral, every other intelligent species evolved in environments far gentler than Earth. Our world would kill most of them without protective gear. And planets like HD 729C, they can't survive there even with their best technology. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. So you're telling me, Admiral Nelson said slowly, that every human being is essentially a super soldier by galactic standards, just by virtue of where we evolved? Yes, sir, William replied. And the rest of the galaxy is just beginning to realize it. They're afraid of what that might mean. 1 year after the revelations about human resilience shocked the galactic community, a new facility stood on the red plains of Mars. Mars Base Alpha gleamed under the distant sun, its reinforced domes and training fields built to withstand the harsh Martian environment. Colonel Samantha Powell walked through the main airlock, her posture perfect despite the lower gravity. As the commander of the newly formed Extreme Environment Training Program, EETP, she carried the weight of Earth's future on her shoulders. Status report, she demanded as she entered the control center. Major Ben Ellis handed her a tablet. The first group of trainees arrived yesterday. 40 Special Forces candidates, all volunteers. Medical screening shows they're the best of the best, Samantha nodded. And our training sites? We've secured access to 5 planets matching your specifications. All uninhabitable by conventional galactic standards, but survivable for humans with proper equipment. On the training field, Lieutenant Ryan Cooper finished his 15th lap. Even in his heavy environmental suit, he moved faster than most of the other candidates. The Martian gravity made running easier than on Earth, but the thin atmosphere meant every breath burned in his lungs. Still showing off, Cooper? Sergeant Lisa Reyes pulled up beside him, her breathing steady despite the exertion. Ryan grinned behind his mask. Just warming up. I hear the real training hasn't even started yet. A loud horn sounded across the field. The candidates gathered as Colonel Powell stepped onto a platform. Welcome to EETP, she said without preamble. You've all been briefed on why you're here, but let me make it clear. Humanity has learned something important about our place in the galaxy. We are physically tougher than every other known intelligent species. While this gives us an advantage, it also makes us a target. She activated a large screen showing 5 planets. These are your training grounds. HD 831, a high-gravity world with twice Earth normal. Kepler 88d, a radiation-soaked rock that would kill most aliens in seconds. Proxima Centauri C, with temperatures dropping to minus 200 degrees Celsius at night. Gliese 667F, with an atmosphere so toxic it would dissolve alien lungs instantly. And finally, Ross 128b, with pressure zones that would crush any Zarlax ship that tried to land. The candidates looked at each other nervously. You will learn to fight, survive, and thrive in environments that no other species can even briefly tolerate. You will become the ultimate defenders of humanity. Not because we want war, but because we must be prepared. Training began the next day. The candidates were split into 5 squads and rotated between the hostile planets. Each environment presented unique challenges that pushed human endurance to its limits. On HD 831, Ryan struggled to stand under the crushing gravity. His enhanced exoskeleton helped, but his bones and muscles screamed with every movement. "Keep going," Lisa shouted as she pulled him up after he fell for the 3rd time. "If the Krell tried to land here, they'd be pancakes. We have to be better." On Kepler 88D, they trained in radiation levels that required special suits and limited exposure time. Even with protection, they could only stay on the surface for 6 hours before reaching dangerous radiation limits. "Imagine fighting in this," their instructor said. "The enemy would be dead in minutes while you'd have hours. That's your advantage." After 3 months, only 30 candidates remained. The others had washed out due to injuries or psychological stress. Those who stayed had changed, becoming harder, faster, more resilient. They learned to modify their gear for each environment, to fight when their bodies were pushed to extremes, to survive where no alien could. One evening, Ryan found Lisa staring at incoming message alerts. "Bad news?" he asked. She nodded. "News. From the Galactic Council. Someone leaked information about EETP. Several species are calling humans a clear and present danger to galactic peace." Ryan frowned. "We're just training to defend ourselves." "To us, yes. But to them? Imagine if you discovered a species that could survive swimming in lava. Wouldn't you be concerned about what that meant?" Across the solar system, human ambassador Daniel Garcia stood before the Galactic Council. Representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations stared down at him from their elevated platforms. "The Human Extreme Environment Training Program is a clear preparation for warfare," the Krell ambassador declared. "Training soldiers to operate in conditions lethal to all other species can have only one purpose: domination." Daniel raised his hands in a gesture of peace. "The EETP is purely defensive. Humanity has no expansionist intentions." "Then why train?" "For combat in environments where no other species can follow," demanded the representative from the Silicon Collective. "If you wished for peace, you would train for diplomacy, not warfare in death zones." Back on Mars, Colonel Powell received urgent orders from Admiral Nelson. The training schedule was to be accelerated. Graduation moved up by 6 months. "Intelligence suggests several species are considering preemptive action against Earth," she told her officers. "We need these troops ready sooner rather than later." The training intensified. Candidates now spent 2 weeks at a time on the extreme planets, pushing the limits of their endurance. They practiced combat scenarios, rescue operations, and survival techniques in environments that would instantly kill any alien force. During a training exercise on Gliesa 667F, Ryan's squad encountered something unexpected: a monitoring drone of unknown origin. "Hold position," Ryan ordered, using hand signals to avoid radio transmission. Lisa approached carefully, scanning the device with her equipment. "It's not human tech," she whispered. "Looks like Zarlak's design, but modified." "What are they doing? Spying on our training world?" another team member asked. "Gathering intelligence," Ryan replied grimly. "Colonel Powell needs to see this." The discovery of the drone accelerated events further. Within days, reports came in of alien vessels moving toward the outer edges of the solar system. Not just Zarlak's ships, but vessels from multiple species. On Earth, the United Nations Space Defense Council met in emergency session. Admiral Nelson presented the latest intelligence. Several militaristic factions within the galactic community are advocating for preemptive strikes against Earth. They argue that humans represent an evolutionary threat that cannot be contained through normal means. "Are we looking at war?" the Secretary General asked. "Not yet," Nelson replied, "but we're looking at the closest thing to it. The EETP graduates may be our best chance if diplomacy fails." On graduation day, Colonel Powell addressed the 28 survivors of the program. They stood at attention, their bodies transformed by months of training in hellish environments. "You are the first graduates of the EETP," she said. "What you've learned here will change the course of human history." You've trained on worlds that would instantly annihilate any alien forces. This gives humanity an edge, but also a responsibility." She paused, looking at each of them. "The galaxy fears what they don't understand. Our job is not to conquer, but to defend. Not to threaten, but to secure peace through strength. As of today, you are humanity's shield against a galaxy that fears our very existence." As Ryan and Lisa received their new insignia, alarm sirens began to wail across the base. Colonel Powell received an urgent message on her comm device. Her face darkened. "All personnel to battle stations," she ordered. "We've just received word. A Krathax battle fleet has entered the solar system. They're heading for Mars." Ryan looked at Lisa, both realizing that their real test was about to begin, much sooner than anyone had expected. Intelligence Officer Maya Patel had not slept in 36 hours. Her small office at Earth Defense Headquarters was filled with holographic displays showing ship movements, intercepted communications, and threat assessments. Something about the approaching Krathax fleet didn't make sense. "Why attack Mars directly?" she muttered to herself. "It's not our primary military base, it's not even our most populated colony. Unless they knew about the EETP. But how? The drone Ryan's team discovered couldn't have transmitted that much data before being detected. Maya's secure line beeped. Admiral Nelson's face appeared on the screen. "Officer Patel, I need answers. Why Mars? What do they know?" "I'm still working on it, sir," Maya replied. "But I think there's more happening than a simple military action. The patterns don't fit standard Krathax tactics," the Admiral frowned. "I've ordered the EETP graduates to prepare for defense. They're our best option right now. Keep digging." After the call ended, Maya pulled up personnel files of everyone with knowledge of the EETP. She checked security clearances, communications patterns, and travel records. One name caught her attention: Jason Howard, a civilian contractor who had dropped out of EETP training 3 months ago. His file showed he had left the program due to a spinal injury during training on the high-gravity world, but there was no record of him returning to Earth afterward. Maya quickly ran a trace on his last known movements. He had visited 4 different space stations after leaving Mars, each time meeting with unknown contacts. "Got you," she whispered, and reached for her communicator. 12 hours later, Maya sat in a dimly lit bar on Ceres Station, the largest settlement in the asteroid belt. She wore civilian clothes and kept her eyes on the entrance. When Jason Howard walked in, she recognized him immediately from his file. Tall, muscular, with a distinctive scar across his left cheek. He spotted her and sat down at her table. "Officer Patel, impressive how quickly you found me. You weren't trying very hard to stay hidden," Maya said, "which means you wanted to be found." Jason smiled slightly. "Smart. Yes, I needed someone from Earth intelligence to contact me, but I couldn't reach out directly, too dangerous." "For whom?" "For everyone." He leaned forward. "The Krathax fleet heading to Mars? It's not what you think. There's a bigger game being played." Maya kept her face neutral. "Explain." "There's a group called the Containment Initiative. Multiple species working together to limit human expansion. They see us as an evolutionary threat." "That's not news, Howard." "No, but this is... They've developed bioweapons specifically designed to target human physiology, and they're planning to test them on the EETP training worlds." Maya felt cold, despite the warm room. "How do you know this?" "Because they tried to recruit me after I left the program. They needed information about human adaptations to extreme environments." "And you gave it to them?" Jason's eyes hardened. "I pretended to, gathered evidence instead." He slid a small data chip across the table. Proof of their plans, including the location of their main laboratory. Europa. Maya took the chip carefully. "If what you're saying is true, why is the Krathax fleet heading to Mars?" "Because there's another player. The Krathax military leadership wants war. They see humans as the perfect enemy to unite their fractured society against. They're not working. With the Containment Initiative, they're using the tension to trigger a larger conflict." "A false flag operation?" Maya asked. Jason nodded. They plan to attack both human and alien outposts, making each side believe they've been attacked by the other. Maya's mind raced through the implications. We need to get this information to Admiral Nelson immediately. Too risky using normal channels. The containment initiative has infiltrated communications networks across the system. That's why I needed you to find me in person. Then we go in person, Maya decided. My ship is docked at level 3. We leave in 30 minutes. As they made their way through the crowded station, Maya noticed a group of figures following them. Their movements too coordinated to be random travelers. We've got company, she whispered. Jason glanced back casually. Krell operatives, 4 of them. They must have been watching me. Can we lose them? No, but we can slow them down. The environmental controls on this level are set for Earth normal. Krell hate our gravity. They ducked into a maintenance corridor. Jason quickly accessed a control panel and increased the artificial gravity in the main concourse by 30%. That won't stop them, but it'll make them sluggish, he explained. Come on. They reached Maya's ship just as alarms began sounding throughout the station. The Krell had overridden the gravity controls, but security protocols had detected the tampering. As they lifted off, Maya sent an encrypted message to Earth Command, requesting an emergency meeting with Admiral Nelson. Then she turned to Jason. Tell me everything you know about this containment initiative. While Maya and Jason raced toward Earth, the situation around Mars was growing tense. The Krithax fleet had taken up positions just beyond Mars's outer moon, Deimos. 6 warships, their hulls covered in the distinctive red markings of the Krithax military elite. Colonel Powell had deployed the EETP graduates to defensive positions across Mars Base Alpha. Ryan and Lisa commanded small teams guarding the most critical areas. Status report, Ryan called over the comm system. Northern perimeter secure, Lisa replied. All defense systems online. No movement from the Krithax. Yet. Why aren't they attacking? Another team leader asked. They've been in position for hours. Ryan studied the tactical display. They're waiting for something, or someone. At that moment, Colonel Powell called all team leaders to the command center. Her face was grim as she brought up a new set of sensor readings. We've detected energy signatures from 3 more fleets entering the solar system. Zarlax, Krell, and Silicon Collective. They're all coming for us? Lisa asked. That's what's strange, Colonel Powell said. They're not moving in formation. Each fleet is taking up positions away from the others. It's like they don't trust each other. On Earth, Admiral Nelson listened carefully as Maya and Jason explained the complex conspiracy they had uncovered. The evidence on the data chip supported their claims. Detailed plans for engineered pathogens designed to target human biology, communications between different alien factions, and coordinates for the secret lab on Europa. So the Krithax want war, and this containment initiative wants to neutralize us quietly, the Admiral summarized, and neither group knows about the other's plans. Exactly, Maya confirmed. The Krithax attack on Mars is meant to provoke us into retaliating against other species, triggering a wider conflict. Meanwhile, the Containment Initiative plans to release their bioweapons on our training worlds, making it look like natural contamination, Jason added. Admiral Nelson stood up and walked to the window overlooking Earth Defense Headquarters' massive operations center. Technicians monitored incoming data from across the solar system, tracking the movements of the alien fleets. Have hours, maybe less, before the situation explodes, he said finally. Officer Patel, I want you and Howard to take a strike team to Europa, find that lab and secure evidence we can present to the Galactic Council. Yes, sir, and I'll send reinforcements to Mars. If the Krithax do attack, those EETP graduates are our best hope of holding them off until diplomacy can catch up. As Maya and Jason prepared to leave, Admiral Nelson received an urgent message. His face darkened as he read it. Change of plans, he announced. The Krithax have launched fighters toward Mars Base Alpha. The attack has begun. The sky above Mars Base Alpha filled with streaks of light as Krithax fighters descended through the thin atmosphere. Alarms blared throughout the base as defensive systems activated automatically. All units to battle stations. Colonel Powell's voice came through the comm system. This is not a drill. Ryan Cooper led his team to the northern defense perimeter. The Krethaks were known for their aggressive tactics, preferring overwhelming force to subtlety. But something about this attack seemed different. They're only sending fighters, not troop carriers, Lisa observed as she joined Ryan at the command post. If they want to take the base, where are their ground forces? Ryan studied the tactical display. You're right. This doesn't look like an invasion, it's more like a test, Lisa finished his thought. They want to see what we can do. The first wave of Krethaks fighters launched energy weapons at the base's outer defenses. The shields held, but power readings fluctuated dangerously. They're targeting our environmental systems, Ryan realized. They think if they can shut down our life support, we'll be trapped inside while they bombard us from above. Colonel Powell's voice came through again. Cooper, Reyes, I need your team suited up for external operations now. Ryan understood immediately. The Krethaks expected humans to be dependent on their base's protective systems. They didn't know about the EETP training. Within minutes, 28 graduates in full environmental suits emerged onto the Martian surface. Each carried specialized weapons designed for operation in extreme conditions. Remember your training, Ryan told his team. The Martian environment is nothing compared to what we faced on Kepler 88d. Use the low gravity to your advantage. The Krethaks fighters, not expecting resistance outside the base, flew lower to improve their targeting. They never saw the human teams until it was too late. Using jump assist systems calibrated for Martian gravity, the EETP graduates launched themselves into the air, surprising the alien pilots. Ryan's team targeted the lead fighter, disabling its propulsion system with precision shots. Lisa led her team in a flanking maneuver, using rocky outcroppings as cover. The Krethaks, confused by humans operating freely in an environment they considered hazardous, began to break formation. They're panicking, Lisa reported over the comm. They weren't prepared for external resistance. 3 Krethaks fighters crashed after taking critical damage. 2 more retreated to higher altitude. Ryan's team managed to capture one intact as it made an emergency landing, surrounding it before the pilot could react. The shocked Krethaks pilot surrendered immediately, clearly terrified at the sight of humans moving easily in what his species considered a deadly environment. Meanwhile, on Europa, Maya Patel and Jason Howard led a small strike team into the hidden laboratory of the Containment Initiative. The facility was built inside an ice cavern, using the moon's thick surface as natural shielding against detection. Security is minimal, Maya noted as they moved through the outer sections. They weren't expecting anyone to find this place. Jason nodded. Most of their resources went into the bioweapons research, not defense. They reached the main laboratory and found it deserted, but the computer systems were still active. Jason quickly downloaded all the data while Maya searched for physical evidence. Look at this, she called, opening a sealed container. Inside were vials of colored liquids, each labeled with coordinates. These match our training worlds. They were ready to deploy. Jason finished the download. I've got everything. Research, notes, communications, membership lists. Multiple species were involved, including some we thought were our allies. As they secured the evidence, Maya's communicator signaled an incoming message from Admiral Nelson. The Krethaks attack on Mars has failed, the Admiral reported. The EETP graduates captured one of their ships intact, with all its navigation data. We now have proof the Krethaks were planning attacks on both human and alien outposts. And we have solid evidence of the Containment Initiative's bioweapon plans, Maya replied. We're heading back now. Good work. Ambassador Garcia is already presenting our preliminary findings to the Galactic Council. The political landscape is shifting rapidly. 3 days later, representatives from all major galactic powers gathered in an emergency council session. The captured Krethaks pilot testified about his leader's plans to trigger an interspecies war. Evidence from the Europa lab exposed the Containment Initiative's illegal bioweapon development. Ambassador Daniel Garcia stood before the council, his expression solemn. 2 separate conspiracies, each operating without knowledge of the other, nearly plunged us into catastrophic conflict, he said. All because of fear. Fear of human physical capabilities. Fear of our potential as a species. The council chamber was silent, the various alien representatives processing the implications. Humanity understands this fear, Garcia continued. But we offer a different path forward. Instead of containment or conflict, we propose collaboration. He introduced Zelthor, the Zarlax scientist who had first recognized the significance of human adaptability. Fear comes from misunderstanding, Zelthor told the council. These humans have demonstrated they could survive environments lethal to most of us. But instead of using this as a weapon, they offer to share their knowledge. Garcia unveiled the proposal, the Interspecies Resilience Initiative, a new program where humans would help other species develop protective technologies to survive in harsher environments. We evolved on a world that challenged us at every turn, Garcia explained. This gave us natural advantages, yes. But more importantly, it taught us to adapt, to overcome, to find solutions where none seemed possible. We wish to share these lessons, not hoard them. 1 month later, Mars Base Alpha was transformed. What had been a military training facility was now the headquarters of the Interspecies Resilience Initiative. Representatives from 12 species had arrived to begin the first collaborative training program. Ryan Cooper, now director of training, watched as Lisa Reyes led the first mixed species group through basic environmental adaptations. Never thought I'd see Zarlax and Krathax training side by side, he commented to Colonel Powell, who remained as overall administrator. Or humans teaching instead of fighting, she replied. It's a better use of our abilities. In the training room, Lisa was helping a Krell scientist adjust his new protective suit. Nearby, a Zarlax engineer examined human environmental technology with fascination. The suit materials are designed to mimic human physiological responses, Lisa explained. It won't make you as resilient as us naturally, but it will let you operate in environments you previously couldn't access. The Krell scientist looked up at her. Why share this with us, after what some of our people planned against yours? Lisa thought for a moment. Because what makes us different shouldn't divide us. Earth taught humans to be tough. Now we can teach others, and maybe learn something in return. Outside the facility, the Martian sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. What had begun as a military crisis had transformed into something unexpected. A new era of cooperation. Humanity's evolution on a harsh world, once feared as a threat, was becoming a gift to galactic civilization. Ryan watched the alien trainees with satisfaction. From death worlds to teachers, he said quietly. Not a bad role for humanity after all.